My name is Sarah. I am 35 years old now, but my story begins many years ago. I want to tell you about my life. It is a sad story, but it is also a story of hope. It is a story about losing everything and finding myself again. I grew up in a small town. My family was not rich, but we were happy. My father worked in a factory. My mother stayed at home and took care of me and my younger brother, Tom. We lived in a small house with a garden. I remember the smell of my mother's cooking. I remember my father's laugh. Those were simple, beautiful days. When I was 18, I left my small town. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to be successful. I moved to the big city with big dreams in my heart. I found a job in an office. I worked hard every day. I made new friends. I felt like my life was just beginning. In the city, I met a man named David. He was kind and funny. He made me laugh every day. We fell in love quickly. After 2 years, we got married. It was the happiest day of my life. I wore a white dress. My parents came from my hometown. Everyone was smiling and dancing. I thought my life was perfect. David and I worked hard together. He was a teacher. I got a better job at a big company. We saved money every month. After 3 years of marriage, we bought a small apartment. It was not big, but it was ours. We painted the walls together. We bought furniture. We made it our home. Every night, we sat together on our sofa and talked about our dreams. Then, the most beautiful thing happened. I got pregnant. When the doctor told me the news, I cried with joy. David held my hand and smiled. We were going to be parents. 9 months later, our daughter Emma was born. She was small and perfect. She had David's eyes and my smile. When I held her for the first time, I knew what real love was. For 5 years, my life was like a dream. Every morning, I woke up next to David. I made breakfast for my family. Emma went to kindergarten. She loved to draw pictures and sing songs. David went to school to teach. I went to my office. In the evening, we came home tired but happy. We ate dinner together. We talked about our day. Emma told us funny stories from kindergarten. We laughed together. On weekends, we went to the park. Emma played on the swings. David and I sat on a bench and watched her. Sometimes we went to visit my parents in my hometown. Tom, my brother, was married now too. He had 2 children. Our families spent time together. Those days felt golden. I thought nothing could ever go wrong. At work, I got promoted. I became a manager. I earned more money. We could buy nice things. We went on vacation to the beach. Emma built sandcastles. David and I walked by the ocean holding hands. I took hundreds of photos. I wanted to remember every moment. I wanted to keep that happiness forever. But life does not always go the way we plan. Sometimes, everything can change in one moment. Sometimes, the life we build can fall apart like a house made of cards. It started on a Tuesday morning. I remember it was raining. I was at work when my phone rang. It was my mother. Her voice was shaking. She said, "Sarah, you need to come home. It's your father." My heart stopped. I left work immediately. I drove to my hometown as fast as I could. When I arrived at the hospital, I saw my mother crying. Tom was there too, holding her. A doctor came and talked to us. My father had a heart attack at the factory. They tried to save him, but it was too late. My father was dead. I could not believe it. Just 3 days ago, we talked on the phone. He told me a joke. He asked about Emma. He said he loved me. Now he was gone. I would never hear his voice again. I would never see his smile again. The pain in my heart was so strong, I could not breathe. The funeral was the saddest day of my life. Many people came. My father was a good man. Everyone loved him. I stood next to his coffin and cried. Emma held my hand. She was only 5 years old. She did not understand why Grandpa would not wake up. David stood behind me with his hand on my shoulder. But nothing could stop the pain. After my father died, everything felt different. My mother was alone now. She cried every day. Tom and I tried to help her, but grief is a heavy thing. I went back to the city, but my heart stayed broken. At night, I dreamed about my father. In the morning, I woke up crying. David held me and said everything would be okay. But I did not believe him. Months passed. Slowly, the pain became smaller. I learned to live with the sadness. I went back to work. I took care of Emma. Life continued, like it always does. But then, more bad things started to happen. The company where I worked started having problems. The economy was bad. They needed to cut costs. One day, my boss called me into his office. He looked uncomfortable. He said, "Sarah, I am sorry. We have to let you go. I lost my job. After 10 years of hard work, I was unemployed. I felt shocked and angry. How could this happen? I was a good worker. I always did my best. But it did not matter. The company was closing my department. 30 people lost their jobs that day. I packed my things in a box and went home. At home, I told David what happened. He hugged me and said, 'Don't worry. We will be okay. You will find a new job.' But I could see worry in his eyes, too. Now we had only his teacher's salary. We had bills to pay. We had Emma to take care of. I felt like I failed my family. I looked for a new job every day. I sent my resume to hundreds of companies. I went to interviews, but every time they said no. 'We are sorry. We chose someone else.' Or, 'We are not hiring right now.' Weeks became months. I could not find work. Our savings became smaller and smaller. The stress started to hurt my marriage. David and I argued about money. We argued about small things. We were both tired and worried. One night, we had a big fight. David said I was not trying hard enough. I said he did not understand how hard it was. We shouted at each other. Emma heard us and started crying in her room. I felt terrible. What were we doing to our family? After that night, things between David and me changed. We stopped talking like before. We became like strangers living in the same house. He came home late from school. I sat alone, looking at job websites. We did not laugh together anymore. We did not hold hands. The love that once was so strong now felt far away. Then, more bad news came. My mother called. She was crying again. She said, "Sarah, I don't know how to tell you this. Tom had an accident. A car accident. He is in the hospital." My heart broke again. Not Tom. Please, not my brother. I rushed to my hometown again. At the hospital, I saw Tom in the bed. He was alive, but badly hurt. His leg was broken. He had injuries on his head. The doctors said he would recover, but it would take time. He could not work for months. His wife was so worried. They had 2 small children. How would they survive without his income? I felt helpless. I wanted to help Tom, but I had no money. I could not even help myself. I sat next to his hospital bed and held his hand. He opened his eyes and smiled weakly. "Hey, big sister," he said. I tried to smile back, but tears came instead. When I returned to the city, I found David sitting at the kitchen table. He looked serious. "Sarah," he said, "we need to talk." My stomach felt heavy. I knew something bad was coming. David said he was not happy anymore. He said our marriage was not working. He said maybe we needed time apart. I felt like the floor disappeared under my feet. Was he leaving me? After everything we built together? After 10 years of marriage? We talked for hours that night. We both cried. David said he still cared about me, but he felt lost. He said the stress changed us. He said he did not know how to fix it. I begged him to stay. I said we could try therapy. I said we could work on our problems. But David shook his head. He had made his decision. The next week, David moved out. He took his clothes and some furniture. Emma cried and asked, "Why is Daddy leaving?" I did not know what to say. How do you explain divorce to a 6-year-old child? I held her and said, "Daddy still loves you very much. Sometimes grown-ups need to live apart. After David left, the apartment felt cold and empty. Every room reminded me of him. I saw his coffee cup in the kitchen. I saw photos of us on the wall. I took them all down. I could not look at them without crying. Now I was alone with Emma. I had no job. I had very little money left. I could not pay the rent for our apartment. I called the landlord and explained my situation. He said he understood, but he needed the money. He gave me 2 months to find a new place. I tried everything. I asked friends for help. I asked my family. But everyone had their own problems. My mother had no money to give. Tom was still recovering from his accident. My friends tried to help, but they could not support me and Emma forever. After 2 months, I had to leave my apartment. I packed our things. Most of our furniture stayed because I had no place to put it. I sold some things to get money for food. Emma and I moved to a small, cheap room. It was in a bad neighborhood. The room was dirty and cold. There were cockroaches in the bathroom, but it was all I could afford. Emma cried every night. She missed her old room. She missed her toys. She missed her father. I tried to be strong for her, but inside I was breaking. I felt like a terrible mother. I could not give my daughter a good life. I could not even give her a clean place to sleep. One night, I sat on the floor of that small room and looked at Emma sleeping. She looked so small and innocent. Tears ran down my face. I thought about my life. I thought about how everything was once so good. I had a loving husband, a beautiful home, a good job. Now I had nothing. I lost everything. I wanted to give up. I was so tired of fighting. I was tired of trying and failing. I thought, maybe Emma would be better with David. Maybe I am not strong enough to be her mother. Dark thoughts filled my mind. I felt like I was drowning, and there was no one to save me. That night was the darkest night of my life. I sat in that small room and felt completely alone. I thought about everything I lost. My father was dead. My brother was hurt. My husband left me. My job was gone. My home was gone. I felt like a failure at everything. I felt like I had no purpose. I looked at the pills in my cabinet, pain medication from the doctor. I thought it would be so easy. Just take too many and go to sleep. Then all this pain would stop. My hand reached for the bottle. But then, Emma made a small noise in her sleep. I looked at her. She was dreaming. A small smile came to her lips. In that moment, something changed inside me. I thought, no, I cannot leave her. She needs me. She already lost so much. She cannot lose her mother too. I put the pills back. I walked to Emma's bed and touched her hair gently. I whispered, I promise you, baby, I will not give up. I will find a way. We will be okay. In that dark moment, I made a choice. I chose to keep fighting. I chose life. The next morning, I woke up with a new feeling. It was not happiness. It was not hope exactly, but it was determination. I decided I would not let life destroy me. I would fight back. I would find a way to survive. I took Emma to school. Then I went to a place I never thought I would go, a homeless shelter. They had a program to help people like me. I felt ashamed to ask for help, but I remembered Emma's face and I walked in. A woman named Maria worked there. She was kind. She did not judge me. She listened to my story. She said, Sarah, you are not alone. Many people face hard times. There is no shame in needing help. She told me about programs for job training. She told me about food banks. She gave me information about cheap housing. That day, I also went to a church. I was not very religious, but I needed somewhere to go. I sat in the quiet church and cried. An old priest came and sat next to me. He did not ask questions. He just sat with me in silence. Then he said, Child, sometimes we must lose everything to find what really matters. God has not forgotten you. His words stayed in my mind. Maybe losing everything was not just punishment. Maybe it was a chance to rebuild. Maybe I could create a new life, a different life. Maybe I could find myself again. I started taking small steps. I went to the job training program Maria told me about. I learned new skills. I learned how to use new computer programs. I learned how to write better resumes. I met other people who lost their jobs. We supported each other. We shared our stories. I learned I was not alone in my struggles. I also started going to a support group for divorced women. At first, I did not want to talk. I just listened to others. But slowly, I started sharing my feelings. I talked about my anger at David. I talked about my grief for my father. I talked about my fear for the future. The women understood. They had similar pain. We cried together. We encouraged each other. Emma and I went to a free counselor. The counselor helped Emma understand the divorce. Emma talked about her feelings. She drew pictures of our family. Slowly, she started to smile more. She made new friends at school. Children are strong. They adapt. Watching Emma's strength gave me strength too. I found a part-time job at a supermarket. It was not a good job. The pay was low. The work was hard. I stood for hours scanning groceries. But it was a job. It was money. It was a start. I took every shift they offered. I worked weekends. I worked nights. I saved every penny. David and I talked about custody. He wanted to see Emma. I was angry at him, but I knew Emma needed her father. We made an agreement. Emma stayed with me most of the time, but she visited David on weekends. It was hard to see him, but I tried to be civil for Emma's sake. Months passed. Slowly, very slowly, things improved a little. I got a second part-time job at a restaurant. Now I worked 2 jobs. I was exhausted all the time, but I was surviving. I was paying for our small room. I was buying food. Emma had clothes and school supplies. One day, the manager at the supermarket called me. She said, "Sarah, I am impressed with your work. I want to offer you a full-time position with better pay." I almost cried with relief. Finally, something good happened. I took the job immediately. With more money, Emma and I moved to a better apartment. It was still small, but it was clean. It was safe. Emma had her own room again. She was so happy. She hugged me and said, "Thank you, Mommy. I love our new home." That night, I slept better than I had in months. I also started taking care of myself. For so long, I forgot about myself. I only worried about surviving. But now, I started to remember who Sarah was. I started reading books again. I started going for walks in the morning. I bought a journal and wrote my feelings. Writing helped me understand my emotions. It helped me process my grief and anger. I joined a community center. They had free exercise classes. I started going to yoga. At first, my body hurt. I was not flexible. But the teacher was patient. She said, "Don't compare yourself to others. Just do your best." Slowly, I got stronger. Not just in my body, but in my mind too. I decided to visit my mother. I had not seen her in months. I was too busy surviving. But now I felt strong enough. Emma and I drove to my hometown. My mother looked older than I remembered. Her hair was white now, but she smiled when she saw us. We sat in her kitchen and drank tea. I told her everything that happened. I apologized for not visiting more. She held my hand and said, "Sarah, I am so proud of you. You are stronger than you know. Your father would be proud too." We cried together, but they were healing tears. Tom came to visit while I was there. He was walking with a cane, but he was recovering well. We hugged for a long time. He said, "I missed you, sis." We talked about our childhood. We remembered funny stories about our father. We laughed and cried. It felt good to reconnect with my family. Before I left, I went to the cemetery. I visited my father's grave. I sat on the grass next to his stone. I talked to him like he was still there. I said, "Dad, I am sorry I did not visit sooner. Life was so hard. I felt so lost. But I am finding my way again. I am learning to be strong like you taught me." The wind blew gently through the trees. For a moment, I felt my father's presence. I felt his love. I felt peace. Back in the city, I kept working hard. At the supermarket, I was promoted to assistant manager. I earned more money. I could save again. I opened a savings account for Emma's future. Every week, I put a little money in it. It was not much, but it was growing. Emma was doing well in school. She was smart and creative. She loved to draw and paint. Her teacher said she had talent. I bought her art supplies with my extra money. I encouraged her dreams. I wanted her to know that even though life was hard, dreams still matter. I also started thinking about my own dreams again. For years, I worked in offices doing work I did not love. I did it for money. But now I ask myself, what do I really want to do? What makes me happy? I thought about it for weeks. I remembered that when I was young, I loved writing. I wrote stories and poems. I dreamed of being a writer. But I gave up that dream because it seemed impractical. Now I thought, why not try? I started writing again in my journal. I wrote about my experiences. I wrote about pain and loss. I wrote about survival and hope. One day, I showed my writing to a friend. She said it was powerful. She said other people should read it. She encouraged me to share it online. I was scared, but I created a blog. I called it Finding Myself Again. I wrote about my journey from loss to recovery. I published my first story. To my surprise, people read my blog. They left comments. They said my story touched their hearts. They said they were going through similar struggles. They said my words gave them hope. I could not believe it. My pain, my story, was helping others. I wrote more stories. I wrote about losing my father. I wrote about my divorce. I wrote about being unemployed and homeless. I wrote about the darkest night when I almost gave up. I wrote honestly about my feelings. I did not pretend everything was perfect. I showed my weakness and my strength. More and more people found my blog. Some people shared their own stories in the comments. We created a community of people who understood loss and struggle. We supported each other. We encouraged each other. I made friends online who became real friends. A woman named Jennifer contacted me. She read my blog and wanted to meet. We met at a coffee shop. Jennifer told me her story. She lost her son in an accident. She was destroyed by grief, but reading my blog helped her. She said, "You showed me that it is possible to survive terrible pain. You gave me hope." Jennifer and I became close friends. We met regularly. We talked about everything. Our pain, our healing, our dreams. She understood me in a way few people did. Having a friend who truly understood made a big difference in my life. One day, David called me. He asked if we could talk. I was nervous, but I agreed to meet him. We met at a park. Emma was with David's mother, so we could talk alone. David looked different. He looked older and tired. He said, "Sarah, I need to apologize. I was wrong to leave when things got hard. I was a coward. I ran away instead of fighting for our marriage. I am so sorry for the pain I caused you and Emma." His words surprised me. For a long time, I was angry at David. I blamed him for making everything worse. But now, looking at him, I saw a man who also struggled. I saw a man who made mistakes, just like me. I said, "David, I was angry at you for a long time. But I understand now. We both made mistakes. The stress destroyed us. We forgot how to support each other. I forgive you." David's eyes filled with tears. He said, "Thank you, Sarah. That means everything." We talked for hours. We talked about the good times we had. We talked about Emma and how much we both loved her. We agreed to be better co-parents. We agreed to communicate better. Forgiving David freed something inside me. I realized I was carrying so much anger and bitterness. It was like a heavy stone on my chest. When I let it go, I could breathe again. I learned that forgiveness is not about saying what someone did was okay. It is about freeing yourself from the pain. As time passed, I continued to grow and change. I was not the same Sarah who lived in that nice apartment years ago. That Sarah defined herself by her marriage, her job, her possessions. She thought success meant having things. The new Sarah understood different things. I learned that real strength comes from surviving hardship. I learned that love is not about perfect moments. It is about showing up every day. I learned that home is not a place. It is a feeling of safety and belonging. I also learned to love myself. For so long, I hated myself for failing. I hated myself for losing my job, for not saving my marriage, for not being perfect. But through my journey, I learned that I am human. I make mistakes, and that is okay. I am worthy of love, including my own love. I started doing things just for me. I took art classes. I discovered I loved painting. I was not very good at first, but I enjoyed it. I took long walks and looked at nature. I noticed the beauty of small things, flowers, birds, clouds. Life became richer, even though I had less money than before. Emma noticed the change in me. One day she said, "Mommy, you smile more now." Her words made me realize how far I came. Yes, I smiled more. I laughed more. I felt more alive than I had in years. I wanted to help others the way people helped me. I started volunteering at the homeless shelter where Maria worked. I helped serve meals. I talked to people who were struggling. I shared my story. I wanted them to know that hope exists, even in the darkest times. Maria and I became friends. She said, "Sarah, you have a gift for connecting with people. Have you ever thought about becoming a counselor or social worker?" I had not thought about it, but her words planted a seed in my mind. I researched programs for social work. I found a community college that had a program. It was affordable. I could study while working. It would take time, but I could become a social worker. I could help people professionally. The idea excited me. I enrolled in classes. It was scary to be a student again at my age. But I worked hard. I studied at night after Emma went to bed. It was exhausting to work full-time and study, but it felt meaningful. I was building a future. I was creating a life with purpose. Emma was proud of me. She said, "Mommy is going to college." She helped me study sometimes. She quizzed me with flashcards. Having her support meant everything to me. 3 years passed since I lost everything. 3 years since my darkest night. Now life looked completely different. I graduated from community college with a degree in social work. I got a job at a nonprofit organization helping families in crisis. The pay was not amazing, but the work was meaningful. Every day, I helped people who were where I once was. I gave them hope. Emma was 10 years old now. She was growing into a wonderful person. She was kind, creative, and strong. Despite all the hardships, she was happy. She had friends. She did well in school. She still loved art. I enrolled her in art classes. Watching her paint made my heart full. David and I had a good co-parenting relationship now. He remarried. His new wife was nice to Emma. I was happy that David found happiness. I no longer felt anger or jealousy. We were both better apart than together. I was still writing my blog. My community grew larger. I published an e-book with my stories. It was called From Darkness to Light, a journey of loss and finding myself. People bought it. They sent me messages saying it changed their lives. I never imagined my pain could help so many people. I also fell in love again. His name was Michael. I met him at a community event. He was a teacher, like David was, but he was different. He was patient and kind. He understood my past. He did not try to fix me. He just loved me for who I was. We took things slowly. There was no rush. We were building something real and solid. One sunny Saturday, I took Emma to the park. It was the same park where David and I used to bring her when she was little. I sat on the same bench. Emma was older now, but she still played on the swings. She laughed as she went higher and higher. I watched her and thought about my journey. I thought about the Sarah from 6 years ago. She had everything she thought she needed, but she did not really know herself. She was living a life that looked perfect from the outside, but she never questioned if it was the life she truly wanted. Then I lost everything. My father died. I lost my job. My marriage ended. I lost my home. I felt like my life was over. I thought I would never be happy again. I thought I would never find myself again. But here I was, sitting in the park, watching my daughter play. I had less money than before. I had a smaller apartment. I had a different job, but I had something more important. I had peace. I had purpose. I had genuine happiness. I had myself. I learned that sometimes losing everything is a gift. It forces us to question everything. It forces us to let go of what does not serve us. It breaks us open, and in that broken place, we can rebuild ourselves into who we really want to be. I lost everything, but I found myself again. The real me. The me that was always there, buried under expectations and fears. The me that is strong and resilient. The me that can survive anything. The me that can love deeply and forgive fully. The me that can turn pain into purpose. Emma ran over to me, her cheeks flushed from playing. "Mommy, come push me on the swing." I stood up and took her hand. As we walked together, I smiled. Life was good. Not perfect, but good. And that was enough. Actually, it was more than enough. It was everything. Today, I still have hard days. I still miss my father. I still worry about money sometimes. But I am not afraid anymore. I know I can handle whatever life brings. I lost everything once and survived. I found myself in the darkness. Now, nothing can take that away from me. If you are reading this and you feel lost, if you feel like you lost everything, please remember, you are stronger than you know. The darkest night does not last forever. Morning always comes. And when it does, you might discover that losing everything was the beginning of finding yourself. Keep going. Keep fighting. Keep hoping. You will find yourself again.